Pit Bulls. Tia Torres thinks pit bulls are wonderful pets, but on January 17, 2014, she had to deal with a situation that may have changed everything. However, she had to contend with other challenges as well. But one thing, her unwavering love for pit bulls, kept her going through it all. However, the pit bulls themselves were the root of her issues. What, then, actually transpired with Tia Torres during those times? How was Tia able to persevere? You will soon discover. Tia Torres created a lifelong enemy on January 17, 2014. But let's first discuss where it all started before we tell you what happened. Pit Bulls Parolees started airing in 2009. It focused on Tia Torres and her non-profit, Villalobos Rescue Center, which rescues pit bulldogs and serves as a rehabilitation facility for jobless ex-offenders. Although the show was a success, it was more than that. Additionally, Tia discussed how the show had altered the perception of pit bulls as unthinkingly violent canines on October 5, 2012. Individuals got in touch with Tia and informed her that without her show, they would not have gained an understanding of pit bulls. No one else got in touch with Tia. They simply did like she did on television. Roxanne Hartrich, who at the time had 2 daughters, was one of them. Roxanne adored Tia's work and enjoyed watching her. She admired Tia's efforts to dispel the myths about pit bulls and her instruction to prospective and new owners on how to care for them. Roxanne honestly thought Tia was correct when she said pit bulls are kind giants. She came to terms with the fact that they were misunderstood, impoverished canines that might be devoted, cuddly, and excellent companions for kids. As a Christmas gift, Roxanne purchased a pit bull for her daughter Kara on December 25, 2013. It was one of Roxanne's better choices at the moment. Kara, her daughter, adored the dog. He was passionately loyal to Kara and they would have tea parties together. Kara's pit bull would sleep at her foot as she slept. She sung songs for him, and he always wanted her to pet him. Kara helped her parents clean up after the pit bull and made sure they got him special toys. She sobbed when the dog was ill and enjoyed taking walks with him. Kara's puppy was the focal point of everything she did since she loved him so much. In addition to protecting her family from the notorious pit bull violence, Roxanne liked seeing her daughter happy. She managed pit bulls according to all of Tia's directions. She gave the dog the proper diet, ensured that it got enough exercise, and made sure the dog never missed a vet appointment. The family as a whole was content, everything seemed normal, and everything seemed fine. One of Roxanne's best mornings was January 17, 2014. This morning was not like any other. It was the 4th birthday of her daughter. Kara, her sister, their pit bull, and other family members were left at home as she departed for work after singing her daughter a birthday song. As usual, Kara was playing with her dog, and her 2-year-old infant was also present. Kara suddenly started screaming and wouldn't stop while they were all having a good time. It wasn't a child's scream as they ran around. It was an appeal for assistance. She was attacked with intent after her pet dog snapped. As their dog kept tearing into her sister, Kara's sister looked on in horror and bewilderment. Like a painter splattering red paint on a white canvas, she saw blood all over the place. Kara was dead when assistance arrived. Even after the funeral, Kara's mother couldn't get rid of the idea that Tia Torres was a major factor in her daughter's death. She never imagined receiving the call. In public, she even urged Tia to assume some accountability. Tia was accused by Roxanne of deceiving people and endangering them with her remarks. Roxanne described pit bulls as ticking time bombs that would attack at any moment and don't give a damn about the best care or affection they receive. According to Roxanne, children, the elderly, and the vulnerable shouldn't be near pit bulls. She vowed to oppose everything Tia stood for and ensure that no one ever adopts a pit bull after calling them mass C******. In addition to her loss, Roxanne's aversion to pit bulls was fueled by the anguish her younger daughter would endure for the remainder of her life. Is Roxanne correct? Do pit bulls make terrible pets? Everyone was waiting to see Tia's reaction. According to critics, Tia was probably going to blame Kara because it was something she had done previously. In her interview on October 5, 2012, Tia accused pit bull owners of being responsible for the prejudice against pit bulls. Most dog owners set their dogs up for failure, she said. And that the majority of pit bull owners try to love them into being gentle, innocuous dogs because they don't know what they need. According to Tia, the owners of the majority of pit bulls are unable to acknowledge that due to their innate aggression, pit bulls aren't the best companions for other canines or in particular social settings. Roxanne asserted, however, that after doing everything Tia advised, their pit bulls continued to assault her kid. Is Tia correct when she says that owners of pit bulls set their dogs up for failure? Tia tries her best to treat the dogs with care, but she has experienced owners who are cruel to their pets. Tia and her daughters are troubled by some of the things that have happened to her. Since of the ongoing heartache they will have to go through, Tia keeps telling her not to enter the dog rescue line since these situations are so awful. Before learning about a family of canines that had been residing beneath a house in New Orleans since Hurricane Katrina, Tia believed she had seen it all. It took some time before she could gain the trust of the dogs, who were utterly savage. Her grief wasn't always triggered by dog rescuing. Her broken heart was soothed by one in particular. She met Aaron Marcus Jackson, her third husband, while on one of her missions to find the owner of a pit dog. Tia was attempting to find a dog owner in the 1980s and forced them to take responsibility for their pet. Tia eventually located the owner and learned why they were unable to care for their puppy. The owner, Aaron, was serving a 14-year jail sentence for a number of charges, including a gunfight with deputies from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Tia was drawn to Aaron when they first met because he had a vampire-like appearance. Aaron was the closest thing to a real vampire, and Tia had an infatuation with them, so they bonded right away. Tia was going through a very difficult time when they first met. She had 2 unhappy marriages in quick succession. She was married to a man who was addicted to alcohol and drugs in her first marriage. He mistreated Tia while under the influence of his narcotics and alcohol. He took advantage of Tia and had affairs with other women. She put up with it since, although she had been in difficult circumstances since she was a young child, this was nothing like it. Although her stepmother was strict with her, the abuse she endured at the hands of her first husband was something else. She therefore left her first husband's home when she had finally had enough. However, she had nowhere to go. Consequently, she relocated to a camper on her first husband's land. At least she was not subjected to her husband's continual abuse, even though it wasn't total freedom. She eventually wed her second spouse after divorcing her first. Unfortunately, this marriage did not work out either. She stayed in contact with Aaron, and they were married in a vampire-themed wedding shortly after his release in 2006. It was Aaron who suggested that Tia employ convicts with prior convictions and provide them with employment opportunities to help them reintegrate into society. She had no idea that Aaron's suggestion would have unexpected repercussions, but we'll discuss that later. Although Tia and Aaron appeared to get along well, Aaron ended up being a prime example of Tia's bad dating choices. Aaron reverted to his old habits a year after they were married. He was arrested in September 2007 for 11 offenses, including attempted murder, second-degree burglary, possession of stolen items, and grand theft auto. Was given a 15-year prison sentence, and Tia simply focused on her career and kept her romantic relationship private. Although she declared in 2018 that she had been divorced from Aaron for a number of years, many people still think she was still with him. Tia is currently married to her job. Even if she has lost a lot of things as a result, her tranquility is one of those things that she loses. And we're not even discussing how her stardom has made things a little challenging. It wouldn't be the first time Tia appeared on a reality TV show with Pit Bulls and Parolees. As a cast member of Animal Cops Houston, she acquired expertise in reality television. She had founded the Villalobos Rescue Center, or VRC, in California in the 1990s, although she had been in the rescue field for a long time before that episode. Her early encounter with wolf dogs led her to start her center as a wolf and wolf hybrid rescue. Even the name of her rescue center, Villalobos, which translates to Village of Wolves in Spanish, was inspired by it. Because one of her relatives left his wolf dog, Cujo, on her doorstep after deciding he wasn't a good security dog, Tia decided to get one. What, then, caused her to shift her attention to pit bulls? Tia felt sorry for the dog. She was familiar with what it was like to be out of place. Tia developed a strong bond with the dog, and as a result, she started saving other wolf dogs who had been abused or left behind by their owners. It was obvious that Tia would start an animal rescue center. Her difficult upbringing is not something she discusses openly. She had a father who wasn't always there and a strict stepmother who instilled in her courage and discipline. Taking in stray cats and dogs was one of the things that made her feel better. Her love of animals was also shared by her stepmother. And they reared those animals together, eventually growing to include horses. However, the family struggled to stay together. Additionally, Tia made the decision to leave home at the age of 17. 2 Arabian horses, an Angora goat, and a Cahula leopard dog named Cougar were among the animals she brought with her. However, there was an issue. The only reason Tia had to leave home was because it was required. There was nowhere for her to remain. As a result, she moved around and occasionally slept in her horse trailer or van. She was free, but it was hard. She didn't always make money with that independence, though, and she made some poor choices as a result. She discovered a nightclub in downtown Los Angeles and became a regular since she liked the music and the 1940s concept of the place. She came onto a gang during this time and joined them as they were dressed in zoot suits. Tia quickly came to the conclusion that gang life wasn't worth it, zoot suits or not. She had experienced numerous near-death experiences and was aware that she would perish if she carried on living the life of a mobster. She made the decision to live a purposeful life. Because of her lack of funds, she saw joining the army as her only option. She did, however, exhibit enough intelligence that ARC recruiters wanted her to work in the Army's medical division. Tia, however, had no interest. What piqued her curiosity? Boys. The department where Tia could most easily meet men was the one she wanted to be in. And ended up in the infantry's truck driving school training. She served in the Army for 6 years before leaving. She was stronger, more determined, and far more aspirational. One aspect of her also underwent a big transformation. Tia was far more committed to assisting others in escaping their difficult circumstances. After relocating to Los Angeles, she secured employment as a teenage gang counselor. Using her background as a former gang member, she assisted gangs in resolving their disputes amicably. Tia would visit the neighborhoods to speak with gang members' parents. In order to keep gang members at school, she also provided counseling. Tia knew what she needed to do to feel whole, but she still didn't feel complete. She then started a dog rescue. She started with wolf dogs, as we've already discussed, but 2 incidents forced her to convert to pit bulls. Tia was attacked after she and her first husband left the house and moved into a trailer on her ex-husband's land. Her assailant was violent and brutal. He continued to scratch at Tia's face. Tia screamed and made every effort to fend off her assailant, but she was helpless. She had given up after being forced to the ground by her assailant when she heard someone running toward her, prepared to assist. Duke was the name of the pit bull. He killed Tia's assailant after pushing him away from her. Tia was attacked by her ex-husband's rooster, who reportedly detested her just as much as he did. Tia was so fond of Duke that she had a tattoo of his paw to conceal the one she had on her ex-husband. Tia was affected by the incident, but even when she started animal rescue, she had not considered rescuing pit bulls. At the time, it appeared that she too believed they were not suitable pets. When her daughters bonded with a pit bull from a nearby shelter, everything changed. She thought pit bulls could be wonderful pets if raised properly, and she eventually adopted the dog. She then made the decision to establish the Pit Bull Support Group in collaboration with Los Angeles City Animal Services. The organization offered free neutering, training, and support to anyone with a pit bull or pit bull mix. Later, she opened her own rescue center to care for pit bulls of her own. Her hopes of assisting pit bulls, however, soon turned into a nightmare. How did Tia get through this time? Prior to it, though, Tia made the decision to expand her rescue center in a way that many found shocking. On the recommendation of her third husband, Aaron, she chose to employ ex-offenders to look after the pit bulls in 2006. In a society that, in her opinion, discriminated against ex-offenders in the same way that it discriminated against dogs, she was giving them another chance. As we already discussed, she paid a heavy price for her choice. Speaking of expenses, Tia was able to cover the cost of center maintenance when she first started. She was dependent on sponsorships and gifts. But her price also skyrocketed as she grew. The amount increased from $10,000 to $25,000 and finally to $80,000. Tia didn't want to shut down her center because she was drowning. Then an offer came her way. Her rescue efforts would serve as the basis for a reality TV show that Animal Planet intended to give her. Tia felt that she had no other option, even though she didn't want to deal with the pressure that came with being famous. As a result of her accepting the deal, Pit Bulls and Parolees were created. As she had anticipated, her fame had unexpected repercussions. Her employees, who were primarily ex-offenders, started to experience harassment when her center was located in California. Not just the ex-offenders encountered difficulties. At VRC, the cops stopped multiple times. During the day, when the employees were out walking dogs, they would arrive and depart. Then, in order to rouse her awake, they would come back at night and shine their spotlight through her windows. Tia dismissed it at first, but in the end she felt it was sufficient. The things she witnessed nearly shattered her when she relocated to Louisiana and packed up her rescue facility. Pit bull abuse in Louisiana was almost 10 times more severe than in California, and it started to work. It was difficult, but Tia persevered and quickly started working. Even so, she had a lot to do. And a flood hit Louisiana just as she was starting to get control. The hurricane that caused the flood damaged the area where she and a few of her staff resided. However, Tia was aware of the necessity of starting over, so she did it all over again. Even after she warned that running a rescue center was consuming, others continued to be inspired by her and started their own centers. One of them was a couple that lived and worked in River Rouge at the time, David McMurtry and Kaylee Sparks. Many people commended the two for their work running the Pit Stop for Change, rescue, and rehabilitation. When the couple encountered financial difficulties, Tia, who was a fan, offered to help and suggested that they relocate to Louisiana so that they could operate their center there. Both of them benefited from it, but things became strange and the dogs eventually perished. Many of them. For the pets' deaths, Tia had the couple arrested, and they also filed a lawsuit against her. They accused Tia of not following the proper procedures for caring for pit dogs and held her responsible for the death. Is Tia truly giving her audience poor advice?